When the COVID-19 pandemic struck New York City in February 2020, the effects of widespread panic hit Chinatown early and hard.
When the closure happened in March, it just pretty much was, nobody was around, you know. It felt like a ghost town in Chinatown afterwards.
Elizabeth Yee is a second-generation restaurant owner. She opened Tonii's Fresh Rice Noodle just 4 months before the pandemic hit.
It was going great up until December, where everybody started panicking and getting scared.
Yee watched from her storefront as businesses around her closed. With higher costs and slow foot traffic, they couldn't afford to stay open. According to Chinatown Partnerships, at least 17 restaurants and 139 stores have closed during the pandemic as of October 4th, 2021.
Watching other local restaurants close was sad because there were pillars in Chinatown.
These restaurants have been fixtures of the neighborhood for generations. The businesses are often passed down within the family, and they allow the whole community to preserve and share their culture.
They're closing for good, so it's something I can't show my kids in the future.
By April, business was so slow that Yee considered closing down for a few months. Her brand new business was struggling.
We didn't create a community presence yet.
Help arrived in the nick of time. A group of young Asian Americans started the project Send Chinatown Love to support struggling businesses. They've raised over $1 million to support Chinatown merchants and vendors. The founders enlisted friends across all disciplines to support the cause, like restaurant consultant Kevin Gregory.
I am a project manager for the business development team, helping out merchants in developing digital brand presences, getting brand assets, and helping them to stay open through these hard times.
Gregory became involved with Send Chinatown Love after seeing a LinkedIn post. He's been helping with the recovery ever since.
I'm a restaurant consultant all across New York City and all across the country, and I've opened up places all around the world, but Chinatown is a really, really special and specific economy that needed targeted and specialized help.
Many Chinatown restaurants are cash only. As people sought to limit their contact during COVID, cash was one of the first things to go.
Businesses here have a long history. They have relatively, low technological implementation. So sometimes we don't have a POS system. Sometimes we don't have a website or an Instagram. Sometimes we don't even have the internet hooked up.
These barriers were intensified by systemic racism, misinformation, and scapegoating that sought to blame Asian Americans for COVID. Small business owners in the neighborhood had much to overcome.
When you step into Tonii's, we want you guys to feel like this space is calm, this is the safe spot, and it's how we want Chinatown to feel like also.
For Yee and other community members, the neighborhood is a safe haven that needs to be protected. Gregory agrees.
We don't want to have, people from Midtown or out of state coming into Chinatown to open up a Chinese restaurant here. That's not what we want to have happen. What we want to do is go into businesses that have been here for a long time and make sure that they're going to stay here for a long time.
Gregory has been collaborating with restaurant owners like Yee to draw new customers without alienating their existing customer base or changing the character of their restaurant.
For me, when I'm walking down the street and I see the green awning of Tonii's and the yellow writing, I immediately recognize it as yours, so I wanted to mimic that within the store.
Gregory looks carefully at the restaurant and talks with the owner about what updates they'd like to make, offering services that would typically cost hundreds of dollars an hour.
I do like it a lot, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't, when we first talked about it, I didn't picture any of this, actually. Now that I see it, I like it.
It's cute, right?
I do.
It feels like your brand. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to have something that when we hang it up, it feels like it's always been there.
Yee and Gregory are united in their love of the neighborhood.
My family grew up in Chinatown, and I grew up in Chinatown, and it's somewhere where I always felt like it was home,
Chinatown's a really special place because it's one of those things that makes New York City a great place to live. You can walk 10 minutes out of Chelsea and be in a completely different world, and we're at risk of losing that. We have family businesses, we have culture, we have all of these things that really make New York City that melting pot that people want to call it.
This is the place I would most want to run my restaurant. This is the place where I want to stay forever.